There.
Hey.
Hey, Mary, how are you doing?
Good. How are you doing, Mark?
Oh, doing good.
We are on. We are live, and you're on here. I can see you.
Hi, everybody. Good to see everybody in the chat tonight. Good to see Mary.
Yeah. Boy. Yeah, we have hey, the crowd is back. Everyone's back from Land Between the Lakes. And I want to hear about it.
Well, the first thing I'll tell you is everybody that I mentioned you to said how bad they missed you and wished you were there. That was the biggest thing that I heard while I was there was they wish Mary could have made it, and I didn't understand what your reasoning was until you had mentioned it the other night on the podcast with the fella from Australia, but I fully understand why you didn't come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know I missed everyone, and yeah, later in the fall, I'm thinking I'm gonna take a run down there. As long as I have my gear together, I am trying my doggonest best to get a truck cap so I can camp out of the back of my truck again.
Yeah.
That worked out the best for me. I regret to this day selling my Ford F-150, but my husband has a pickup truck, and I can use it. And
so you're just looking for what I call a topper, just a
yeah. Some people call it a topper, truck cap topper. I usually, what I had before, it was a high top topper.
Yeah.
And that way I was able to move around a little bit better inside and have more space. And it worked out really well. But saving up my dimes, and we'll go.
I've got kind of an interesting deal going here. I'm using my phone for video and audio, but I've got the YouTube page up in the background, and I've got it muted so that I can see the chat.
Oh.
But there's a lag between the two, so
yeah.
When I got to watch the phone, because otherwise, if I watch you, then you're not going with what you're saying.
You got thrown off.
Yeah. So, and I'm sorry if I'm reaching around. I've developed this old age thing of every time I bump into something, I bleed like crazy, and I bump my hand while I go, and I got blood running all over my hand. So.
Oh no. Oh no. Well, you want to take a quick break for a bandage or something, or?
No, it's just, I get them all. Look at them. I get them all over me. Yeah. All I got to do is bump into something. So. And yeah, anyway, it's just an old age thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, you tell me what you want me to talk about first.
Well, I think first off, I really want to hear about Land Between the Lakes,
Okay.
and
Well,
then we'll go over your adventures in Alaska.
sure. Well, I think the first thing with Land Between the Lakes, other than what I already said, was it was my first time there, so I was a little bit in the dark as far as what exactly or where I was supposed to be and when I was supposed to be where, and so I got in there on Friday around noon, which was when I thought we were supposed to be there, but it turned out a lot of the people, I think Gary said he had been there since like Tuesday. So I would have probably came a day earlier if I'd have known at least, but I didn't know. So anyway, I got there, and as we went in, we didn't really know where we were going. And so we just kept driving in. We were going past a lot of people that were camped, but I hadn't seen any kind of a central meeting area. So we finally got into where the bulk of all the campers were, and managed to find a place for my big old outfit, and got parked and set up. And then I think I went out and started handing out cards, and I took some CSI stickers with me for people that they could put on whatever they wanted. They're about 3-inch diameter stickers. And I had just got some new business cards, so they're a lot nicer than the ones that most people had seen before. I actually went and spent a little money and had some printed rather than the ones that I printed on my own printer.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, I went out handing those out, and of course I can't walk real well anymore, but I hobbled around, and I think Gary is one of the first people I met when I got there. And so I talked to him a little bit, and then I can't remember. Let's see, Scott and Sheila Granger were camped right close to us. So I recognized them because I'd seen them on other expeditions that I'd been on, or outings, or whatever we call them. Matter of fact, I think they might have been at the one that I've got this T-shirt on from, which was in Tennessee back in 2023.
Cool.
Yeah, so I talked to them a while, and then, I don't know, sometime probably close to dark Friday night, I managed to figure out that there was a kind of a central area that people were at and had a big bonfire going. So I managed to walk up to it. This was a pretty good walk for me. But I went up there and talked to some people, and I'll miss all kinds of names, but your buddy Greg House was there. And he kind of accused you of maybe exaggerating his riding around on motorcycles dressed up like Bigfoot. But anyway, so I talked to him a little bit, you may not know who this is, but well, I blanked out now on his name. I'll think of it in a minute. There's a guy there that I'd been wanting to meet for a long time. And he was there, and I can't say his name now, but anyway, a lot of people that I knew. Flat Rock was there. I knew him from before. Jessica Jones finally showed up on Saturday, and I knew her from before. She's actually supposed to have me on her show here sometime in the next week or two. Somebody asked, I see Mickey ask, what does CSI stand for? It's Cryptid Search Investigations. So, and if you want to find me online, just cryptidsearch.org. Facebook, I have 2 different pages. Cryptid Search, which is kind of a clearinghouse for all cryptid pages. It's primarily Bigfoot, but there's probably 100 pages that feed into my Cryptid Search page. And so if people post things on, oh my gosh, there's so many, but East Coast Bigfoot research, or I assume Mary's page feeds into it. I can't remember. But anyway, it will feed everything in there. And then you don't have to. Oh yeah, Cam Buckner. Thank you, Wendell. Yeah. But anyway, so and Marvin Groves or Marvin. What's his
Martin.
name? Martin Groves. Yeah, I'm getting old. Let's see, what was I saying? Oh, about the pages. So the Cryptid Search feeds into, or all the pages feed into it. So you can go there and you don't have to search all over for different stories. They'll all be in one spot from like 100 different other cryptid pages.
Mm-hmm.
And then Cryptid Search Investigations is a private page, and you have to ask to join. And if I know you, I let you right in. But if I don't know you, I kind of vet you first. I try to keep, and I think I've done a pretty good job of keeping trolls out and crazy people out. And so anyway, that's the story on all that. And then, and then my email is cryptidsearch@myyahoo.com. I couldn't get just yahoo.com, so I had to get myyahoo.com. So Cryptid Search, but everything's Cryptid Search. And, but the CSI is actually Cryptid Search Investigations. That actually, I hope I'm not taking up too much time on this, but that is a 501c3 nonprofit. I believe it's the only one east of the Mississippi River. I know there's a couple out west. Oh, there's some others.
I think, I don't know if the ECBRO is or not. I honestly don't know.
Well, I'm not positive, but anyway, mine is, and what that means is if I just put it this way, if I do anything for you, I don't charge you for it. And if you do anything for me, you get a tax deduction off your federal income tax. So that's the story on that. So back to the Land Between the Lakes. I unfortunately apparently missed out on all the excitement. Since I was there, I've heard, well, while I was there, I heard that there was several people had noticed some Sasquatch watching from the woods and actually got some pictures. I have not seen those pictures yet of those. But then last night I watched, Gary was on a program that I can't remember. It's Collie UFOs podcast. So he was on there and he was talking about that they had a number of encounters or seeing things around, orbs as well as some Bigfoot. And then let's see, what was the other thing? Just today, I was on a page and somebody had put up that they had something happen to, now I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was another type of encounter of some kind. Oh, and then there's a road there. You may know it, Mary. I didn't walk up it. Yeah, Mr. Lynch was my dad. Hi, Patrick. But but anyway, there's a road that will go up a hill toward a cemetery, and I guess some people were having some action up that way of different types. I'm not sure what. Again, I wasn't at the campfire when most of this stuff happened at the base camp around the campfire, which seems to be what happens so often. And then I wasn't able to walk up. I made about 4 trips up to that campfire and back, and that was probably, at least a 300 or 400 yard walk uphill, which one way, obviously downhill the other way.
Oh my!
But that was about all I could do.
Did you have your golf cart with you?
No, and they told me if I had it with me, they wouldn't have let me rode it anyway.
Oh.
They said they have implemented so many rules at this place compared to past years. That they just don't. They don't allow. Well, there was one lady there that had just a little bitty, like I don't know what you call them, just a little electric scooter that you sit on. And she was riding it around, and she said nobody said anything to her, but they had warned us ahead of time that the park rangers had said that there was going to be no selling of anything. They even said that when they had the big bonfire going, somebody had brought in a lot of wood. There was a big pile of wood there. And I think it might have been Gary was telling me, even, I'm not sure, that they had been told that they couldn't leave any of that wood behind. Like normally they'd leave it for the next campers, but they said, no, you either have to burn it or take it with you, one or the other.
Oh
and
my.
just what I think are kind of silly rules, really. But
yeah. Wow.
So yeah, they're making, and then they said they had raised the price way up. I don't know what that means compared to past, that they had raised the price up, and that it kind of sounded like they were not wanting to encourage. I don't know if I want to say our type of activity, but that's kind of the impression I got, that maybe the park rangers weren't real crazy about the crazy Bigfoot people coming in.
Maybe.
One of the things about LBL, and I know Gary, and I don't mean to offend Gary. I know Gary talks about that they're very, very benevolent creatures, and I tend to believe that as well. But I also know there have been some deaths attributed to potential Dogman attacks and such over there.
Yeah.
And I figure it's one of two things. They're either worried that more people are going to go out and get hurt, or they know what's out there, which is probable, I think, and they don't want people to find out what it is.
It's possible that they don't want people to rile them up.
Well, that could be too.
That's my theory on it.
Yeah. So whatever the reason is, they seem like they have put a lot of rules in place that are stricter than they were in the past. And I'm just going on hearsay because I hadn't been there in the past. But that's what people were talking about. I'm trying to think. Sorry, what?
Oh, the shizzle just popped in.
Oh, hi. Yeah, hi, all the people that popped in. I haven't been watching everything. I've been trying to watch for any questions, but
if they do, I'll pop them up on the screen and bring them. Oh,
yeah, of course, my screen is itty bitty because I'm on the phone, so I'm trying to watch myself over in the. What's this? Somebody said we couldn't have a raffle.
Yeah, that's such a shame.
Well, I really got the feeling that while I was there that they were trying to I can't think of the word I'm trying to say, but not encourage us to come back, maybe is the way I want to put it.
Yeah.
But I'll go back if they have it again and I'm able. Boy, every summer seems to get a little worse as far as me being able to travel. So, but I'm still doing our thing in October. So one way or another, unless they have to bring me on a stretcher, I'll be there. And I normally go to Wisconsin in June to one every year, but I'm not going to be able to do that this year, I don't think. Yeah. So I'll miss that because I got a lot of friends up there. Yeah, Wendell said they're trying to run us out. So
I hope not, Wendell. I don't know. I had made a suggestion to Misty for what I personally do with my campouts that I offer and that I host. I do not rent one of those group campsites. I don't. Number one, because I can't afford it. And number two, because I read through the list of rules or regulations and I say, no, I don't deal with crap like that. So I just choose a campground and I tell everyone to make your own reservations for your campsite. I will be a campsite number such and such, and just leave everyone to rent their own campsite it's usually a state campground where I have. And
of course, LBL is federal. It's national recreation areas, so that may make it worse. But Kentucky has always been worse than every other state as far as it comes to like Bigfoot stuff. I know that I've talked to some people that tried to do Bigfoot stuff back, 10, 15 years ago in Kentucky, and had problems because of permitting and various things, so anyway, I do know that there was some people catching some really good fish there.
Good.
I didn't get down there at the time, but my friend walked down, and Bo, and he drives me around because I can't drive half the time anymore, but he went down there and said that there was a guy that caught a bluegill that was just enormous, biggest one he'd ever seen. And then he said the guy hadn't much more than threw his line back out, and he got another hit, and it was about a 10-pound catfish. So anyway, he was bringing the fish in. A lot of kids, well, not a lot. There were several kids. There was a little girl there. Oh gosh, I should remember who she was with. I knew their grandparents. Anyway, she was kind of the life of the party. She was running around just happy and bouncing around and telling everybody she was looking for Bigfoot.
Oh,
so
it wasn't Abby.
I could be. I can't remember her name now.
Yeah, there's
maybe somebody here will remember.
Yeah, Greg's
oh no, I didn't have the beans and wild pork, but I got some of the gumbo.
Oh.
So yeah. There was Pyro was there. He was from Oklahoma.
Yeah.
A Cherokee guy.
Yep.
And
he's a good guy.
Yeah. And
oh, okay. Thank
you.
I
said, there were so many people there that if I hear the names, I know them, but for me to sit here and name them off, I'd never come up with them all.
Yeah.
Maggie Johnson's granddaughter. Okay. Yeah. But it was funny. Somebody had a little dog in a pen, and she was there by the dog. And I walked up the first time I met her, and she was, she couldn't pet the dog. It was inside of like an enclosure, little bitty. It was a little Pomeranian or something. And they said that the dog's name, I knew what they meant. They said the dog's name was Rascal. And I said, "Oh, you mean this little girl here's a rascal?" And she'd go, "No, I'm not a rascal." So, yeah, Mitch, that's what we're talking about. Michigan Sandman, I guess that is. We're talking about LBL. I went. Gary was there. I guess Wendell must have been there. I'm not sure. I know who. Sorry, Wendell. I don't know. I know you if I see you, maybe, but
yeah, apparently he was there because I saw photos of him that other people were taking.
Okay. Yeah, I reposted a bunch of photos and that other people posted. I haven't posted any of the photos I took yet, so I might get around to that at some point.
Oh.
So
oh, okay. That was Larry and Debbie Porch's dog, Rascal.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so like I said, a lot of people, a lot of people I knew, a lot of people I knew but had never met. And it was nice to meet in person.
Yeah. Good.
And I got on to Cam Bender, gosh, at least 10. I mean, literally, I told him when I met him, I said, he just tells stories. Yes. And then he does fiction. So he does the Steve Lilly stuff, which is, I was talking to him about it. Some people don't like it because it depicts Bigfoot as bad. We were talking about that, and he said, well, there was probably people didn't like the movie Jaws because it depicted sharks as being bad, and not all sharks eat people. But anyway, I started watching him probably on episode 2, actually, literally, of his real podcast when he very, very first started listening to him. And I just always wanted to meet him. I knew he lived in Mississippi and about where, but, I never had an opportunity to be at the same event where he was at. So I was kind of happy to to be able to get there and meet him. And of course, I hadn't met Gary before. I see him all the time on the podcast, you know, as a moderator, but never had a chance to actually meet him and talk to him. And everybody there really loves him. He's very highly everything pretty much east of the Mississippi, when I can. So here's the story. I travel in a big 33-foot toy hauler and my truck, and I used to spend winters in Florida. I would start out down in the Green Swamp area between Orlando and Tampa, usually in November, December, and then January. And by February, I'd be up in the Panhandle around Apalachicola National Forest and do some there, and then start working my way back north. And my home base, so to speak, is North Carolina, right outside of the Great Smoky Mountain National Park. So I did some there, and I still do some there when I'm able to get out and about. And then I like to go over into Tennessee by what's called Tellico Plains, or there's a Tellico State Park over there that I go to in Tennessee. And then usually by the end of March, I would head up toward Illinois. My son lives in Illinois. That's actually where I'm at right now. And I always get up here before the 15th of April. I've got a accountant up here that still does my taxes and does all of my, Mickey, that's right. Mickey, it's entertainment. That's exactly right. That's what it is. You got to realize it's fiction and it's entertainment. But anyway, I would, back to the question, I would get up into Illinois and sometimes do a little bit here. I had my very first sighting in Illinois in 1973. And then by June, I would go on up into Wisconsin and do an outing. And then I would usually go back home to North Carolina because of the weather would get too hot. So I would stay there until around the first week of October. I go up into Pennsylvania in the, now I'm blanking out again. What's it called, Mary? Where do we go up there?
The Allegheny National
Forest. Yes, thank you. And there's been a few other places I've gone up in Pennsylvania, but that's the primary one. So that would kind of round out my year. And then when I got done up there by the middle of October, I would go back to North Carolina. And then by November, December, I'd start it all over again. But I'm not able to do all that anymore. So now, you know, I still try to get up and see my son, and I got to do my taxes in March and April. And then
fun times.
I'll probably go back home until fall and then just do Pennsylvania in October. So
yeah,
about all I can do anymore. And with the price of gas right now, I can tell you it cost me about $350 in gas just to get to the one at LBL, and then probably another $300 to get up here to my son's. So yeah, so it's not cheap pulling this big thing around.
No.
And I live on Social Security and retirement. That's all I have. But I also don't own an actual home. When I'm in North Carolina, my home base is with somebody else's property, so I get to stay there kind of for free.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so I don't have a lot of bills, but I also don't make a lot of money.
Yeah.
No, I have never done the Appalachian Trail in Pennsylvania, if that's the question. So
yeah,
I'm sorry if I'm butting in there, Mary. I'm watching the chat.
That's all right. Yeah, you're spotting questions and comments there that I'm missing.
That's all right. And I'm probably missing some too. So let's see. I don't know if I have a lot else to tell you about LBL unless you have questions. Like I said, I missed out on all of the excitement around the bonfire late at night. I mean, some of them said they were having stuff at 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. and I was asleep.
Yes.
You know,
Yep,
Yeah.
they'll sit around the campfire for quite a while, and but like you, I would have a hard time ambulating back to wherever camp was. So yeah, that'd be hard.
Yeah. So
Yeah. So did you get to meet Kumbo?
who? Oh, I heard he was there, and no, I did not. I
Oh,
didn't know he was there until after I left. I never did bump into him.
oh,
I met
well, so
I
many.
met the guys from oh gosh, my mind anymore. There's an author, D.A. Roberts. He wasn't there, but the two guys that are in his podcast with him were.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I know them from the podcast, but I had never met them, and they were there. But I did not, for whatever reason, I just did not bump into him. I thought I handed cards out to everybody there. So if I met him, he didn't use the name Kunbo because I was trying to introduce myself and get names, and nobody said I'm Kunbo.
Yeah.
Like Flat Rock, he always says, "Yeah, I'm Flat Rock," but oh yeah, Doc and Robbie, you're right. Thank you. See, these people have still got a mind. Mine is pretty well faded away anymore.
Yes. Same here. I'm horrible with names.
Yeah, I don't know Kunbo's real name, so
Tim Baker.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Okay, I do know that now that you say it. And yeah, D.A. Roberts, the reason I know who D.A. Roberts was and the reason that I originally went to their podcast was because D.A. Roberts had the guy I talked about a minute ago narrate one of his books. I'm sorry, my mind is just about gone. I really have had a rough week. We left, we got a late start, headed for LBL. And so we're trying to make up time, and then we blew a tire on the trailer.
Oh no.
So we had to stop. We're in the mountains in North Carolina still, and we might have been over in Tennessee by then, but we weren't to Chattanooga yet. And so we found a wide enough spot to get off and change that. And Bo did most of the work, but I helped a little bit. Managed to cut a big hole in my arm doing that. Oh yeah, Cam Buckner. Yeah, Cam narrated one of D.A. Roberts' books, or maybe more than one.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I had a flat tire. My spare wasn't all that great, so we were kind of crossing our fingers we could get somewhere to get a tire. So we got over to Chattanooga, 10 minutes till 7 at a Walmart, and they closed at 7, the tire shop. And I told Bo, I said, there was no way they're going to put a tire on for us at 10 minutes before time to go home. Well, he said he thought they would, and he was right. They did. I bought a tire, and they put it on. Well, they didn't put it on the trailer. They just put it on a wheel for us.
Yeah.
And then he put it back on the trailer. So we got that done. And then we left there and trying to think, seemed like we had some other excitement on the way over. We drove, that put us way behind. So by the time we got out of Chattanooga, it was 8 o'clock or after. And I told him, I said, I really was hoping we could get through Nashville tonight, because otherwise the traffic's going to be terrible in the morning. And so we did. We kept driving until we made it through Nashville to Clarksville, and we stopped there and spent the night. Got up in the morning. We stayed overnight in a Walmart. I'm cheap. I stay in a Walmart parking lot whenever I can. Got up and went in and got a few groceries and things to take with us to eat, and went on. But then, like I said, I've just been having trouble lately with everything I bump into. It's just a problem. But and then what happened today? Oh, I spilled a Diet Pepsi on my computer keyboard about an hour ago. I thought sure that was going to put an end to tonight, but it didn't. It still worked. Maybe that's what made my camera not work. I don't know.
You never know.
Yeah.
I've done that before.
Yeah, just one thing after another like that. Just so anyway, I've been trying to watch any questions, but
Okay.
You know, Tim Dills in Western North Carolina, him and I are working on a research idea. Well, that name sounds real familiar. You know, it's kind of ironic because I know there are a number of people that research right in my area, and yet I don't ever seem to run into them. There's a group called Western North Carolina Bigfoot Research or something like that, and
Yeah.
I've seen some of them on podcasts, but I've never came across any of them in person.
Yeah.
And yet I've been basically doing this. Well, I say 53 years, but you know that was my first sighting, and then of course life got in the way. I had a job and family, and I would do what I could when I could.
Yeah.
But until 2018, when I retired, that was when I got back into it really pretty much full time.
Mhm.
Although I had a number of, well, I shouldn't say a number. I have had several things happen in Alaska that were odd. I say, you know, I think I've told on here before, so I won't go into it again unless you want me to. But, you know, I had the best I could describe as mind speak on one occasion. I was going to bump back real quick to my very first encounter for just a minute, if you
Please
didn't
do.
mind, just to
Yeah.
add a piece of information.
Absolutely. Please do.
So I will make this as quick as I can, but people may remember, but some of these names probably weren't around at the time when I was on before. So my first encounter was in 1973, and I was with another guy that was a couple years older than me, and I was pretty young and naive at the time. And so I woke up in the middle of the night, and it had been raining a little bit. So I woke up and we had a tarp over us, just a tarp like a lean-to, and the fire was outside of the tarp, of course, so it had started to go out. So I woke up and threw a bunch of wood on the fire. Well, when the fire flared up, I saw something standing out just outside the firelight, and I thought, at first I thought, you know, did I really see that? I'm just a teenager. I wasn't sure what I saw, but then later, you know, I could hear it moving around, something moving around, and I was pretty sure it was not. I mean, I would say, you know, somebody would say, well, you can't tell if it's bipedal or not, and maybe not, but it was either, I figured it was either on two legs or it was a crippled deer, one or the other, because it was definitely not a normal sounding walking. Well, anyway, so a while went by, maybe an hour or two, and I finally woke my friend up because I had seen this thing on the edge of the firelight 3 or 4 times, and by now I'm guessing 3 a.m. And so I said, you know, I wake him up, and I told him, and he was kind of cranky because I woke him up. But I said, you watch out here. I'm going to throw some wood on the fire and watch when the fire flares up. And I did, and he saw it. And he goes, oh, he said, that's that old hermit that lives back in the woods. Well, I kind of knew what a hermit was. And I said, well, what's he doing out here in the middle of the night watching us? And he said, I don't know. He's kind of weird, and he always wears a fur coat. Every time I see him, no matter how hot it is, he's wearing a fur coat, and he's got long hair and a beard, and he's just all hairy looking. And so I'm like, okay, well, it's an old hermit. Well, I believe that I didn't think any more about it for probably, well, I thought about it, but didn't give it a lot of thought for 4 or 5 years. And I think finally, at that point in time, I might have seen the Patty video or something like that. Some show, could have been the old show with Leonard Nimoy when they talked about Bigfoot.
Yeah.
But so I thought, oh, well, that's what I saw that night. At the time, I was convinced it was. Well, the only thing I want to add to it is here about 6 months ago, probably, or thereabouts, I was watching a video or else reading an article about cryptids in Illinois because I was I was actually thinking about maybe trying to put together some kind of an outing in Illinois. And I was reading this article, and it said that Woodford County, Illinois, had one of the highest rates of Dogman sightings. in the state of Illinois, and that
Oh.
some of them dated back past the 1970s, which, like I said, I saw mine in 73. So then it got me wondering, could it have been a Dogman? Well, I don't know. I never got a profile view of it.
Yeah.
So I couldn't tell you if it had a snout or not.
Mm-hmm.
But that has me wondering now of whether I actually potentially saw a Dogman instead of a Bigfoot. I really don't know. But
Wow.
right about the time, if anybody does look up anything to do with cryptids in Illinois, they will find references to things like the Coal Hollow monster, which was about less than 20 miles from where I lived. There was the Kickapoo monster, which was probably 20 or 25 miles. Those were everything back in that time frame was called a monster. There was no Bigfoot or Sasquatch, they were the monster, this monster, that monster, whatever. And actually, only probably about 10 years ago now, there was one seen at a place called Funk's Grove. And they actually got a handprint off a car from that one. Yeah, there's a rest area there off the interstate, and it's a very wooded area. And this guy pulls into the rest area, and this thing ran across the road, and it didn't go in front of him. It went kind of behind his car, but as it went behind his car, it put its hand on the trunk deck of his car and pushed off somehow. I don't know how it happened exactly, but anyway, that was kind of a big thing around the area back, I say 10, maybe even 15 years ago. I lose track of years. But anyway, there's been a lot of sightings within 20, 30 miles of where I grew up in central Illinois. And I attribute a lot of that to it's not all that far from the Illinois River. And also there's a river that goes through the area that basically was what I grew up on, called the Mackinac River. And the Mackinac River is a river that winds all through central Illinois, and it's tree lined everywhere, of course, and a lot of farmland, a lot of deer, plenty of food source. So I think that those rivers actually act as a highway for them. Oftentimes, probably when, this whole thing up in Ohio that was going on with, all the sightings in just recently in eastern Ohio.
Right.
I think that very well may have been young males that had been kicked out of the nest, so to speak. I think when they get up to where they're a pest, 16, the equivalent of our 16, 17-year-olds, that, they get kicked out and they got to go find their own place to live. Mm-hmm. And they oftentimes get spotted traveling. I think a lot of the road crossings that people see are often juvenile males that are out looking for a new home. That's just my opinion, because none of us really know. But
no, it's just going by what we observe and what we've learned over the years. That and you're right, it's probably the juveniles. And I think with the ones in Ohio, like you, I think it's individual younger ones who, like you said, perhaps have gotten kicked out or branching out on their own, or else they're just scouts, going out ahead or behind the rest of the troop, scouting out for food. Who knows? And they just got caught, in the daytime. Who knows? We don't know.
Don't know for sure, but like you said, we just use what we've learned and what we've seen and witnessed. And I've seen
possibilities.
I have seen a lot of crazy stuff, and I've heard a lot of crazy stuff. But
yes,
whenever we move into this next story that I've got to tell you, it's the craziest thing that's ever happened to me in all my years.
I want to hear this.
Yeah, well. Okay, everybody, right now you can put the crazy sticker on me. I spent 4 months recently on Prince of Wales Island in Alaska. And that is a area that's very well known for Bigfoot sightings, as well as the upside down trees. That's probably what it's almost best known for. And I talked to a number of loggers while I was there about the whole theory of that those were done by loggers. And the one guy said, he said, I don't doubt there could have been some of that, but he said, it's really hard to get a tree to stick in the ground upside down deep enough to stand there for generations, and especially without leaving any sort of tooling marks on it. Because he said, if we grab it with a grapple or a cable from a helicopter, whatever it might be, it's going to leave marks on it. And he said, and I was not able, they've closed the roads up to those. And the federal government did this. So once again, why? Makes you wonder why. But they make it now where you can't get up to them unless you can hike 10 miles, which I can't, up a mountain.
Yeah.
So, but I talked to a number of people that have been up to those trees and seen them, including loggers. And they basically said they weren't done by loggers. If they were done by loggers, there would be tooling marks on those tree trunks.
Yeah.
So that's the number one thing. I talked to quite a few people that told me good places to look. Matter of fact, I don't have a way, I guess, to share it, but I have some pictures that people gave me. One lady, she said, don't ever use my name, and I won't, but she took a map and she said, I'm not going to tell you that these are definitely spots you need to go, but she said, if you want to see something, they're spots you ought to go. So she put some sticky tabs on a map, and I took pictures of that map so I could remember where they were. And it turned out some of them were off the road enough that I couldn't hike to them, but I did make it to a couple spots. And the problem there with any good sign is that the soil is so rocky and gravelly that they just don't leave footprints. You would think Alaska, it's mud or tundra, but not Prince of Wales Island. It's all rock and gravel.
Oh, okay.
So I was never able to spot any. I didn't find any tree breaks. I didn't find any structures. I didn't find any footprints. But what happened was about 3 months into my 4 months, I was actually working a part-time job while I was there. I was driving home, and it was just before it got dark. It was just starting to get at that time of night where, you want your headlights on, but it's not quite dark enough to where you can't see. And I come around, and the roads up there where I was at, they have really good roads on Prince of Wales Island. They're state highways, and they keep the sides of them cleared back probably about 150 feet on each side. And the reason for that is that's about how tall the trees are. And if a tree falls, they don't want it to block the highway.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm driving along, and I come around a curve, and kind of out of the corner of my right eye, I see something standing at the tree line. And so I kind of did a double take real quick, and I looked, and sure enough, there was one standing there, just standing there. Didn't move. And I'll get to the craziest part here in a minute. I'll come back to the craziest part. But anyway, at first I thought maybe I was seeing things, but I didn't stop and go back right then because it was getting pretty close to dark. So I went on to where I was staying, and I was renting, the company I was working for was renting me a house to stay in, or an apartment right on the same property of the property owner. And I knew I had talked to him before. He is a guy that used to be a logger, and he had a couple of incidents that he told me about. Again, asked me not to use his name. People there, it's not so much that they're not worried about using their name, but the Sasquatch is part of the native creation story there. The Haida Indians believe that Sasquatch was involved in their creation. And so they're a spiritual being to them. They consider them to be flesh and blood, but they're a spiritual being as well. They're both. And these people didn't want to offend their their Haida friends and neighbors. So anyway, but I went and talked to him, and I told him what I saw, and he said, "Yep." He just said, "Yep, right there." He said, "That's where people see them all the time." He said they see them cross the road there. They see them standing there. We don't know why, but he said the spot you described is exactly where I would expect you to see one.
Cool.
So then I'm trying to think how to tell this to kind of keep the audience on their toes, on the edge of their seat. Maybe they don't care, but I went back the next day to where I saw it standing, and I got out of the car and I walked over there. I mean, it was a struggle for me to get over there, because just because they keep the road clean back doesn't mean the ditch isn't full of all kinds of logs and vines and all kinds of things.
Yeah.
But I managed to get over there, and if you would have asked me when I saw it, I would have said, oh, it was probably at least 10 feet tall. Well, when I got over there and checked, it was 14 to where it was standing. And then I estimated the width of it based on what I remembered seeing, and I would say it was at least 5 feet across the shoulders, if not 5.5.
Yeah. Wow.
And so now, and I told the guy where I was living about this, and he said, yes. He said, people report that all the time as well. What it is, and the part that I said would make me sound really crazy, I was looking dead at it. I didn't blink. I didn't turn my head, and it disappeared. Just like it was there and it was gone.
Really?
Just like that. Instantaneously. You know,
Wow.
I've heard people talk about, oh, you know, I saw one and I looked away, and when I looked back, it wasn't there. And I always said, well, you know, they're good at hiding, you know.
Yeah.
This wasn't something that hid. I don't know what it did or how it did it. You know, I know I've read your book, Mary. I know you've got several ideas in there of how this may happen. And the more I think about it, the more I tend to agree with your idea of infrasound and using infrasound to create basically invisibility.
Yeah.
But whatever it did it as I looked at it, and there was no twinkle man effect. You know what I'm talking about? There was none of that effect of it fading out. I mean, it was literally like it was on and then it was off. It was gone. And again, when I talked to that guy that I was staying there with, he said, yeah, he said, that is also a common thing that gets reported that people see. And it's common that the natives, the Haida Indians there, say that they have the ability to do that.
Yeah.
So where it went, I don't know, but I know it was there and then it wasn't. So,
Wow.
So that's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Now, let me ask you, was it sunny, or was it standing in the sunshine, or
no,
it was in the shade?
The entire time I was up there, I was there 4 months, and I'd say we had maybe 4 or 5 days with some sun, and this wasn't one of them. Yeah. And like I said, it was pretty much right at, I mean, the sun had sort of already gone down.
Yeah.
So it was, so that was why I wanted to go back the next day and check it out, because I thought it could have been pareidolia. I can't say that word, pareidolia, because of the shadows. But no, when I went back, there was nothing there. Huh. There was nothing there. And so I checked that out, because that was one of the first things I thought of. So it was light enough. I don't know how to explain this time of day. It was light enough you could see, but it was dark enough that, you know, like if you have a car with automatic headlights, the headlights would have already turned on.
Yeah.
So it was right there at that point.
Yeah.
Which up there was about 3 o'clock, probably in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Right around 3 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So I was far enough south. Prince of Wales Island is far enough south that he gets, the sun comes up around 9 in the morning in the time I was there, and sets about 3 in the afternoon.
Okay.
So anyway, that's my crazy.
Wow.
But it was not, there was nothing there. When I went back, I only went back expecting to see a big dead tree trunk there or something.
Yeah.
But there wasn't. And if there was, how would you explain tree trunk disappearing. You know, they're like less likely to disappear than about anything. So
Melvin, that was what, this year, earlier this year, or
February.
Okay, yeah.
It was in February of this year.
Yeah, thank you for doing your due diligence.
February of 2026. I came back in right around the 1st of March. That was probably early February, because it was about roughly a month before I came home.
Okay. Yeah, I know so many people, they won't follow up, and check out, okay, where they saw it, just to make sure that it wasn't
a
tree trunk or anything else. And thank you for doing that. But you're professional enough that to do that and experienced enough.
Trust me, it made me feel crazy. So, I mean, it was wild enough that I was questioning my own sanity, so to speak. And so I definitely wanted to go back and make sure.
Oh, my. I hope to experience that someday. I've never seen them disappear.
Yeah, I hadn't either.
Seen them every other way, but not disappear.
Yeah, it was a strange one, and
amazing.
That's the only thing I had the whole time I was up there, other than people telling me stories about things that had happened to them. I had some police officers that had encounters, and loggers that had encounters, and pretty much I would say if you're on Prince of Wales Island, the number of people that have had some sort of experience is probably in excess of 80%. Okay. I tend to want to say 90%, but I kind of hedge my bet and say 80%. I met one person the entire time I was there, that said he thought it was all a bunch of baloney. Oh. And he hadn't lived there that long.
Well, there we go.
Yeah. But all the natives, the natives here actually get very offended if people say they don't think they're real, because to them they're as real as a moose or a bear or anything else,
Yeah. I know for myself, I wonder how on earth can you deny that they, even if you've never seen one, there's enough stories out there, enough witnesses, and enough details, that how can you deny? Absolutely.
If Bigfoot was, if somebody was on trial for murder, and they had as much circumstantial evidence as we have for Bigfoot, they would put them away for life.
Yeah.
But with Bigfoot, it's got to be absolute. You got to have a dead body. You got to have whatever.
Yeah.
But we've got all the evidence in the world other than a dead body.
Yeah.
And, they may bury their dead. They may eat their dead, as gross as that seems to us. We don't know. I tend to think more likely they bury their dead, but then people say, well, why haven't we ever dug one up? Well, how often do you go way off up in the mountains somewhere digging a hole?
Yeah.
And besides that, there have been some that were dug up, and the government came and hauled them away in the name of science, and then said, oh, we never did that, you can read stories about that all day, about the Smithsonian has showed up, going quarterback into the late 1800s on sites. And Gary's right. The government has the bodies.
Yeah.
But they haul them away. And I've heard stories of them being hit by vehicles, and then the black SUV shows up and they load it up and haul it away. Or, there's a lot of stuff from Mount St. Helens when the eruption of ones that were wounded or killed, and they came and took them out on helicopters. But then when the people that were there that saw that report it, they tell them, no, that never happened. You're crazy. So for whatever reason, they, yes, definitely the Smithsonian has bones. I guarantee you.
Yeah.
They're hidden away in somewhere. Oh, and I've heard the Vatican has bones, is what I've heard. They have a big museum, and apparently that even before the United States was United States, they had, as soon as and I'm not picking on Catholics here, but just how it worked. As soon as the Catholic religion accepted evolution, which they did fairly early on after Darwin came up with the theory. So I'd say by 1900 anyway, I think the Catholic Church had accepted it. So they didn't want this out either, because then that goes against evolution. It basically, in some ways, some people say that it goes against evolution. I don't know that it necessarily does, but some people think that, well, if there's proof of giants, then that lines up with the Bible, which there are giants in the Bible. So we don't want there to be giants of any kind, whether they're giants or Sasquatch or whatever they are. And I don't want to hijack the program on this either, but
please go wherever you want to go. Go for it.
Well, I just started to say that there's a lot. I'm trying to think of the right way to word things. There are differences, I believe, between Sasquatch and giants, right? So, and I'm not 100% sure that some Sasquatch aren't giants, but I'm not sure they all are. But the historical description of giants were that they had 6 fingers and 6 toes on each hand and foot, and that they had double rows of teeth.
Exactly.
Well, typically, I've never heard of anybody looking inside one's mouth, but typically Sasquatch have 5 fingers and 5 toes. Yeah. So there's a difference of some kind there.
Yeah. We've seen many handprints. In fact, I've got photos, from my pickup truck.
And it's so then also, if you go back to some of the Jewish writings, which I look upon as good history, the Talmud and other writings, Josephus was a very good Jewish historian that kept very good records. A lot of people don't agree with him on everything, but nonetheless, most of the things that he wrote, people have found truth to. Where was I going with that? I get sidetracked so easy. My mind anymore just. I was talking about history, and when they wrote about Nephilim, so people talk about Nephilim, and Nephilim is just a word for, sort of a word for giant. It's got a another undertone to it, but anyway, let's just say it's giant. That's how the King James Bible defined it or translated it. But they said that the Nephilim, some of them, they were far more bad. I can't think of the words I want, but they were far worse than what we envision, and that they were much bigger. There are records that say some of the Nephilim may have been over 100 feet tall, pre-flood.
Yeah, we would have been like ants to them.
Oh yeah. And even after the flood, and I don't understand this entirely, because I also am ordained. I used to pastor a church, but that's been a while ago. But anyway, when they did it again to me, my brain just shuts down. It's part of this goofy autoimmune disease I have. Anyway, I'm rattling anyway, but I could get off on biblical stuff for quite a while probably and bore everybody with that, but they probably don't want to hear that tonight either. So I saw Wendell said some have 3 toes, and I think I think that there's actually, and this is my opinion, all of this is opinion, it's like everybody's got a couple, and they're like armpits. They usually both stink. But I think the three-toed ones are actually a type of reptilian. I do believe there are something, I'm not sure what it is, but enough people have seen them and reported them that they have a reptilian appearance. You familiar with what I mean, Mary?
Yeah. I've heard a few reports.
Yeah. So I tend to think that the three-toed ones, my phone's going crazy. I don't know if it's affecting my feed.
No.
But anyway, I think the three-toed ones are some type of reptilian. But that's just my suspicion. Yeah. So, well, I was just I guess I'll throw one more thing in real quick on the whole flood thing. And again, some of this is stuff that I've kind of come up with over the years on my own. And some of it's stuff I've heard other guys talk about. But I was talking earlier about the Talmud as information and also some of the writings of others. So pre-flood, there's a verse, and I can't quote it probably 100%, but it said that Noah was a perfect man, something to that effect.
Yeah.
And it also said he was like upright in his generations, plural. Well, I believe what that means was that he had never been corrupted. His bloodline had not been corrupted by the Nephilim.
Right.
And I believe that the reason, hi, Patty. I believe that the reason that God sent the flood was because of the Nephilim.
Yeah.
It was because of man's sin, but the sin that man did to cause the flood to come was interacting with the Nephilim.
Yeah.
And the Nephilim taught men how to do things that men shouldn't know how to do. And it also says that, and again, I can't remember the exact verse, it's all either in Genesis chapter 6 or in the book of Enoch. First Enoch, by the way. Second Enoch is pretty well certainly a hoax or a fraud, but First Enoch is apparently true because Jesus quoted from First Enoch in the New Testament. But I think that they okay, I did it to myself again. I got sidetracked and forgot. But yeah, but anyway, I hate it when I do that, or when my brain does it too. But
yeah, the Nephilim.
Yeah, I was talking about the Nephilim and all that, but mainly that the flood was sent to destroy the Nephilim, not to destroy humans necessarily, but humans were destroyed as part of that. It also says that the Nephilim corrupted all flesh. So not just human, they corrupted. I think that there's a really good chance that all the stories we have of mermaids, of centaurs, of all of these human animal crosses,
right,
were because of the Nephilim messing around with genetics.
Yeah.
But the thing that gets me is, and I haven't ever figured this out, and I admit that it's beyond my ability, but God destroyed the earth basically because of that.
Mm-hmm.
And yet after the flood, we have reports again of giants, and we have Dogman today. That's a cross apparently between some kind of canine and human. There's still reports of mermaids. Even in North Carolina, where my home base is, they see river mermaids in the rivers.
Oh my.
And so it's very odd to me that we still have all those things, because I'm like, well, some people say, well, the fallen angels came back and did it all over again. But why would God allow that? I don't
Yeah.
understand that. I just don't. But maybe he did. I'm not saying he didn't. God can do anything he wants. I got in an argument with a professor in college once because he got up in front of the class and he was teaching a Christianity course. And he said, there's some things God can't do. And I said, and he kind of stopped there. And so I put my hand up and he said, yeah. And I said, I don't agree with that. And he said, what do you mean?
Yeah.
He said, there's things God can't do. I said, well, tell me something. He said, God can't put a square peg in a round hole. I said, well, sure he can if he wants to, because he's God. If he couldn't do it, he wouldn't be God.
Absolutely, yeah.
And he never did agree with that. I mean, we never did see eye to eye on that one. And I had another professor once that told me that some things were an absolute certainty. And I said, well, what do you think that might be? And he said, well, for instance, we know beyond any doubt that tomorrow morning the sun will come up. I said, we don't know that. I said, if God decides the sun's not coming up tomorrow, it's not coming up. Mm-hmm. We could all die tonight. And he, myself, and that professor never agreed on that either. But I was kind of bullheaded, I guess.
He put limits on God. And
right. And another thing, I'm going to throw this out just because I wish I had the verse. I really do. I want to say this is maybe in Genesis chapter 10 or 11. It's where the tower, I call it Tower of Babel. Some people say Babel, but I always heard it was Babel because that's where the phrase people babble come from. But there's a verse in there, and you watch almost anything you want to watch, and they'll show you or they'll tell you that when God confounded their languages, that they just all took off and went in different directions and populated the earth in different places. But that's not what the Bible says. And I've actually pointed this out to some fairly big name preachers before, and they were shocked by it. It says, God scattered them upon the face of the earth. Yeah, that's the exact wording. God scattered them. You can look that verse up. It's in Genesis 10 or 11. Scattered them upon the face of the earth.
Here we go. Yeah, it's chapter 11.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Thank you. And so anyway, that's what I think happened there. I think God did it. Like, the people were at the Tower of Babel, and then all of a sudden, some people were in China, and some were in Europe, and some were in North America. And I don't believe all this crossing of the land bridge and, all that stuff. I think God just did it. But all those other stories of how people got all over the earth are stories that people made up to explain how they thought it happened, when in fact, how it happened was right there in front of them the whole time. So I used to have a pastor that I studied under before I got ordained, and he said, that Bible will shed a lot of light on them commentaries. If you get it.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yes.
Just read the Bible. It'll shed a lot of light on them commentaries. Anyway, I've gone on long enough, unless you've got questions or the audience does. Everybody's kind of been pretty quiet. I see a few things there, but nothing was really a question. So
let me back it up. Yeah, Mickey had more of a comment about the giant of Kandahar. Seems more of a giant than a Bigfoot. No, I agree, because of the description.
Yep.
Of the giant.
Yep. Because they said it had 6 fingers, 6 toes, and 2 rows of teeth. The people that were there and saw it. So absolutely. Yep. That was what I've heard people refer to those as a regular giant versus a Sasquatch or a Bigfoot or a Yeti or a, Yowie or, Almas. Almas is the name in Russian, I think. It's funny, I can remember all these names from around the world and can't remember half the ones that the Native Americans called them that I should be able to remember. Oh, yeah, good question. DeShizzle said, what about Esau? I agree. I've always wondered that too. Esau was born covered in red hair,
Yeah.
and it said he was a man of the field, which some people thought meant he was a farmer, but I think it may have meant he lived out in the field, in the
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah.
And absolutely, I think there's a good chance that our modern day Sasquatches could be descended from Esau, because after Jacob got the blessing from his father and inherited everything, I think he and Esau met one more time, at which point he was scared of Esau. He actually sent half of his flocks and herds away so that Esau wouldn't know he had them, if I'm remembering correctly, which I think I am. And then I don't think Esau was ever heard of again. And so he very well could have went off and became the ancestor of modern day Bigfoot, Sasquatch, whatever.
Yeah, it's another one of those possibilities.
Yep. Right. And a lot of them are reddish. They range all the way from blonde to black, but there are quite a few red versions that are seen.
And gray and white also.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, there's all different colors. All different colors.
But that doesn't necessarily explain, although it could, their ability to do things like disappear and so forth. Now, Gary made a good point on the show he was on, I think it was last night or night before last, Monday night, that he thinks that originally all of us had the abilities that Sasquatch have today, but that we've lost them over time because of technology. We have developed technology where they have developed survival. Yeah. And that they have to know how to do these things to survive, and we don't really. We live mostly we live in cushy houses and drive cushy cars and
Right.
don't have to worry about any of that anymore.
Right. Yeah, we can camouflage ourselves up to a point.
Yeah.
We don't have the ability to completely disappear.
Yeah. Well, not yet.
Vanish. Not.
I know in your book you talk a lot about how the military is working on trying to redevelop those sorts of ways to do that.
Yeah.
So.
And
yeah.
Who knows? They probably have it. Just that we don't know because we're not privy to that information.
And another little tidbit I'll throw out, not to cause people any undue concern, but there's an old song that says, "We'll understand it better by and by." The Bible never says that. You'll never find a verse anywhere in the Bible that says we'll understand it better after we're dead. We may never know, but my preacher used to tell me, again, back when I was studying for the ministry, he'd say, you won't care anymore. Once you get to heaven, you just won't care anymore.
Yeah.
You'll be so involved in heaven and being in God's presence that all of this earthly stuff won't mean anything anymore. Which in a way is a disappointment to me because there's so much stuff I still want to know.
Yes.
But anyway.
I know. I want to learn.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, let's see. The Shizzle says, and that's an evolutionary branch that science doesn't map.
And that could be as well.
Yeah.
We don't know for sure. And I don't, I am a Christian, and I am, I'm pretty literal when it comes to the Bible, but at the same time, I do not claim that I know everything. Yeah. And I admit that it's possible, however unlikely, possible that I could be wrong, believe it or not. So yeah, I'm open to all kinds of different ideas.
Yeah.
I met a lady at the, so again, quick sidetrack. I have a great grandfather who I have never been able to track ancestry beyond him. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that Jessica Jones was going to work with me on. She does remote viewing, and it's different than being a psychic. But she was going to do remote viewing and see if she could help me figure out my great-grandfather's. Thank you, Melvin. Bless you too. And help me try to figure out my great-grandfather's ancestry prior to him. Because I just want to know where I came from. You know? And I met a lady at the LBL, Robin
yes.
Griffith.
Yes.
Who is a psychic, a medium, and she also offered to help me do that as well, but through a different means. And I know a lot of Christians that would say, "Oh my gosh, that's terrible. You didn't want to talk to a medium." It's all right with me. I mean, I'm open to all the ideas. I don't mind if she wants to help me.
Yeah,
I'm all for it. If she comes up with something nobody else has.
I love Robin. She is such a lovely lady.
Yeah, she is. She's great. We talked for quite a little bit. And so, So yeah, I'm open to all kinds of ideas. I used to be a lot less open to things than I am now. But the more after 2018, the more I got involved with Bigfoot, the more I realized just how much paranormal or whatever there is involved. I don't know if it's portals. I don't know if it's infrasound. I don't know if it's what it is. I mean, I actually know a guy, and I don't disagree with him. I said, I don't necessarily believe this, but I don't disagree with him. He thinks that Earth is for lack of a better way, it's like a penal colony for another world. And they bring their people here. Like English used to take their people to, that's who I'm talking about, Cryptid Huntress, Mickey. That's Jessica Jones. So we used to take people to Australia, right? The English did. That was a penal colony. They took them there and left them. They never expected them to survive. They thought they'd all die there because Australia was such a horrible place. Well, he thinks that Earth is a penal colony for some other planet, and they bring their less than desirables here and leave them. Now, people in Australia turned out to be okay, right? They aren't all bad people. So it would be the same thing. If you agree with that, they bring the Bigfoot here, they leave them off in different parts of the world. They get different names, Yowie, Yeti, Sasquatch, whatever. Yeah. And then they turn out to be okay. And he actually thinks that some of them aren't here necessarily for a life sentence, that sometimes they come back and get them. And the reason he thinks that is, and you may know this, because up in the Allegheny National Forest, there have been a lot of sightings in that part of Pennsylvania of Bigfoot and UFOs interacting. Yes. Some coming off of UFOs and some going on to UFOs.
As well as a lot of reports of portals up there.
Right,
also.
that too.
Yeah, lot.
But what the portal is, a portal a way for them to travel to the spaceship, or we don't know what a portal even is yet. We think they're interdimensional. I mean, that's when I studied quantum physics in my doctorate's degree. We studied that they were that the portals are potentially, anyway, windows to other dimensions. But nobody knows that for sure, I don't think. Now, NASA may know more than we think, because NASA wrote a paper, and the last I knew it was still on their website, but you had to really look for it. They wrote a paper probably now 5 years ago and put it out where they admitted that they know that portals are real. But they did not say what they were, where they go, and they didn't admit to any being on the surface of the Earth. They only admitted to some that were up in the atmosphere. Okay. That supposedly, and that almost implied to me that they were saying that that's how some of these UFOs that the government has admitted to may be coming and going. Right. Are through portals up in the atmosphere.
Well, plus
But
CERN is they've even said that they've opened portals.
right. Well, and there's a nuclear collider in Oak Ridge, Tennessee,
Yeah.
which is not all that far from where I live.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of reports of portals in that area. Matter of fact, we've talked already about the cryptid huntress and Jessica Jones. So not to be over advertising on your channel for her, but she was out on a outing a few years ago with some of her group, and three, I think, if I get the number right, I think there were three of the men went into what they thought might have been a portal. It was described as a black cube, and they went into it. They went up to it first, and the one guy stuck his hand in, and nothing happened. So they went in, and they were gone, according to her, for a fair amount of time, 10, 15, 20 minutes. They come back out. They were all kind of sick, as I recall. Within 2 years, two of them died of cancer. And I haven't heard about the third one, what's going on with him, but I think there was a third one. But
Wow.
two of the three I know for sure died.
Wow.
So, I think at my age, maybe I don't care. I started to say I'll avoid going into one, but maybe it's not a big deal. Might end my suffering sooner. I'm
Yeah.
just kind of kidding. So
Yeah, I don't think I'd go in one.
yeah, but anyway, and then of course I've got an interview, and I did not get the lady's permission to release it publicly. I should have, but I have an interview with a lady that told about they own land. I won't even say where because it might give it away, but they own land, and some people showed up at their property, and there were people from various branches of the military as well as NASA, and they supposedly told them before they left. They didn't give them any details. They gave them more details than you'd think they would have, but that they had two portals on their property.
Huh.
And that they investigated them while they were there. So if that's true, then NASA probably does know more than we think they know about portals.
I would think so. Yeah.
So
most definitely. Jeez.
yeah. Well, I'm reading Patty's comment here. The neighborhood, I saw a strange floating object in the same area as I heard tree knocks. So, Patty, was that an orb? You think it was an orb? I've seen orbs in conjunction with Bigfoot on at least two occasions. Both were in Tennessee. Now, did you tell me once that you had a orb encounter up in Allegheny, Mary?
Oh, yeah. In the Chestnut Ridge area, which is a little bit south of the Allegheny National Forest, I've seen quite a few portals and not portals, but I mean orbs in many different areas. But what I saw and this was at Prince Gallitzin State Park.
Yeah, I've been there.
And we were sitting around a campfire, and there were some possible Bigfoot, most likely Bigfoot, standing off about 15 feet away from us in the tree line, and they were hitting us with infrasound, and we were all getting sick. I was getting a migraine, and at the same time, there were these orbs floating above us, just multicolored, hundreds of them passing over top of us, all back behind going towards the lake. And, it was crazy. But, the Bigfoot were right there.
I see Patty said it was a steel ball looking thing floating through the woods.
Okay.
That's not that could possibly have been an orb. I've never seen one look like a steel ball, but I've seen them, look in, I've seen various colors certainly. And I would say some of the ones I've seen could have been described as sort of a metallic color. So it's possible.
Interesting, Patty. Okay, Skitter says someone needs to scan their footprint casts for radiation. I know there's a few people who carry Geiger counters with them. I don't know if they've scanned footprints yet or not. I haven't heard.
I don't carry a Geiger counter, but I have a meter that will pick up. I don't know what it's called. It's not a Geiger counter, but it will detect radiation. Okay. And I can say that I've had readings on it when Bigfoot were, at least when we thought they were in the area. But yeah, I've never actually just gotten it down on a footprint and checked one.
Yeah. Yeah, they're...
Yeah, EMF meter. That's what I carry.
Yeah.
But it has a thing on it that reads EMF, and it also reads in radiation. It's got two different scales on the one I have.
Okay. That's good.
So,
yeah, I've never used one. I've seen other people using them, but
yeah,
I find them
next time we're out, I'll let you play with mine.
Yeah.
They're supposed to actually be more about just detecting paranormal type things, supposedly ghosts and things, but that's not what I use it for. So, I mean, not that, I don't know about, I don't know what ghosts are. I don't say they don't exist. I just don't know that they're what a lot of people think they are. I'm not sure what they are. So,
yeah, another one of those mysteries. Okay, Skitter operator. Your neighbor saw a steel orb fly over the highway.
Yeah, well, there you go. Very much what Patty saw then, probably.
Okay, Patty says hers was about the size of a dinner plate.
No. Yeah, I haven't seen any orbs that big. I know some people have, but most of the orbs I've seen have been pretty small. Matter of fact, some not much bigger than the size of a golf ball or thereabouts. So yes, I have, Melvin. And by UFO, I'm not sure your definition of one. I have seen things in the sky that I couldn't explain, that made no sense, and that basically defied what we know as physics. But I can't say they were something from another universe. They could have been from another what were we just talking about being from other
dimension,
yeah, something like that. And and I don't really have any problem with other dimensions, because the Bible even talks about other dimensions. I mean, angels are in a different dimension than we are. So yeah, there's.
And the Jewish faith, they teach that there are 10 different levels. I think that's what it is, 10 different levels of heaven.
Well, that's interesting, because the original, what are called traditional quantum physics, teaches that there are 11, but one of those is time. So the other 10 are actually other physical dimensions of some sort. Okay. And Paul talked about going to the third heaven, which is, where God lives. First heaven, second heaven, third heaven. Right. We don't know where the third heaven is. First heaven is here around us, the atmosphere on Earth. Mm-hmm. Second heaven is basically outer space. And then third heaven, we don't know where that is.
Yeah.
That's how he described it anyway. So, so yeah, you know, there's all kinds of stuff we don't know, and I'd like to think that we will know more someday. That we will know, but I don't know if we will or not. But I'm going to try to find out all I can while I'm here.
Yeah. And if we are able to have all our questions answered someday, you know, whenever we stand before the throne, then that's good, or we may not care by that time.
Exactly. But if we do get them answered, we'll have plenty of time. Eternity's a long time.
Yes, it is.
So, yeah, interestingly, talking about orbs, that same person I interviewed that had the had NASA show up and talk about portals on their property. They have quite a few videos of orbs. They've taken. They show up on their trail cams, which is very odd because I haven't really seen a lot of orbs on trail cams. But at their house, they put trail cams out and gets pictures of orbs flying around. But every one that they've ever gotten on a camera has been white.
Yeah.
They say they have visibly seen other colors, but every one that's been on a camera has been white. And some of them were pretty big. I would say some of those approach the size of a soccer ball anyway.
I know, Patty.
What'd she say now?
She says she doesn't like mysteries. She likes to know what the heck is going on.
Yeah, well, you can always make up your own story.
Yep.
That's what people do. Hey, look at it this way. Think about Gene Roddenberry. Think of all the stuff that he made up back in the 60s in Star Trek that we now have. Yeah. And, you know, he wanted to know what stuff was, and he just made it up, and then it came true.
It came true. Yep. Although I've yet to meet a Vulcan or a Romulan.
Yeah, well, you don't know, right? Remember in the old shows, Spock came to Earth sometimes. He used to always wear a stocking hat.
That's right.
So maybe you have met one and didn't know it.
You never know.
It's, you know, there are people that claim they've met people from all kinds of different planets. I've never met one that I knew of, but I've wondered about a few.
Yeah. It's like meeting angels unaware.
Yeah, that too. Yep. All right. Well, I don't know how long you want to keep going. I don't know. I have a whole lot more. I mean, I can talk for a long time, but I've already talked a lot. So
let's see. Does anyone have any other questions or? Yeah, we went from Bigfoot to the Bible to UFOs and orbs and portals, and we've ranged pretty far, which is good. And that's the way I like it.
Well, I can run down a rabbit hole with the best of them.
Yeah. Oh, here we are. Patty's, she asks, we going camping in the Alleghenies with less nuts falling.
I don't know what that means.
Well, where we camp out, remember that one area that's very active where they were hitting
where they attacked me?
Yes. There were all kinds of nuts falling.
Because it got windy while we were there. That's probably why.
Yeah, it was windy.
At least it got windy that night after you all left. I don't know if it was windy while you were still there, but
I don't know. But yeah, maybe. Yeah,
that whole area up there is really good. Everywhere from really going even clear up into New York. You know, New York, such a communist place, but I'd like to go up to the Allegheny State Park in New York sometime. There's been a number of sightings up there just north of the Pennsylvania state line.
Yeah, Yeah, it's just going over that state line into, like you said, communist territory.
So I'm going to put that back up.
Okay, it's on. Six-inch long black hair, see-through looking hair.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Okay.
I didn't catch all of that, but the see-through black hair
Yeah,
kind of makes, or see-through looking hair kind of goes along with the disappearing act.
Yeah, here's the first part of his comment. He surprised the big hairy thing digging in his trash. It jumped 30 feet when he opened the door.
Yeah, I remember somebody else that saw one digging through there, had been digging through the trash.
Oh, yeah, we catch them quite often in different areas that we go to.
Yeah,
like the casino, where I saw the running one.
right.
They're always going into the dumpsters there.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, I think anywhere there's a buffet, I mean, you could probably find them behind a Chinese restaurant, but
Heck yeah, yeah.
I don't know if they like cat or not, though.
Yeah, they'll eat cat. They'll eat anything.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Well,
Bigfoot buffet.
who you got on next week, Mary?
I don't have anyone lined up just yet. I'm thinking of asking Greg House. I'm going to have to get a hold of him.
Yeah.
I haven't had him on in quite a while.
Yeah, it was good meeting him and talking to him, and he's a
good guy.
He's got a little chin whiskers like me.
Yes.
You know, the last time I saw you, I had just started growing this in October.
Yeah, I remember you were not quite as hairy.
Well, I have grown a beard almost every winter for most of my life when I wasn't working a job where I couldn't. And I've always wanted to let it go for a full year and see how long it could get.
Okay.
And I've never been able to do it because I get so hot in the summertime that by July, I always end up shaving it off. So this year, I'm going to give it a shot, but I don't know if I'll make it. But if I make it through to October, it ought to be real long by then because my beard grows pretty fast.
Yeah,
I told him at the, and I did cut, Gary may be able to testify, I did shave some hair off. I'm not as hairy as I was at LBL, but I told him I'm waiting for them to come out with a documentary or a biography on Charlie Daniels. And I'm going to get the hat and I'm going to go out for the Charlie Daniels part.
There you go. Yep.
So.
Yep. Devil comes down to Georgia.
Yeah. Somebody said, "Well, can you play a fiddle?" I said, "Well, no, but I can fake it," and that's what all them music people on them movies do. You know.
That's right.
The guy that played Johnny Cash couldn't play a guitar probably either, but
that's what those
they made it look like he
do
could
out in the parking lots. They fake it.
Yep. So.
You took your beard and hair off today. Oh, geez.
Well, I normally do, but we're supposed to be down. I'm here in Illinois at my son's, and it's supposed to be down to 30-some degrees in a couple of nights. So I didn't want to cut it all off yet.
Wow.
It was 85 yesterday, and it's supposed to be down to 30. We've been having a lot of storms and stuff here, a lot of rain and tornadoes. My son told me when I got here that typical tornado season here is 26 tornadoes in Illinois through this central part right here. Yeah. The tornado season officially starts the 1st of May, so it hasn't started yet. They've already had 24.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I've been watching a YouTube channel called Max Velocity.
Yeah, I watch him.
Yeah, he always has a bunch of the tornado chasers on there and covers it quite a bit. And wow.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah.
Yep. Been
hit hard.
yeah, it's very early here. You know, Illinois, it's not uncommon to have mid 80s or 90s by middle of May or June, but have them, they were already hitting 80 here in February. So
yeah,
that's very odd.
Yeah, it is. And the temperatures have just been going back and forth. 80s one day, 70s, and then down to the 30s the following day. And
that's what's causing all the tornadoes, I guess.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, Patty, I don't know if I'm going to be, when we will plan that trip to that park.
Well, the only way, and I can't even promise this, but, and I don't know if you're bringing that up at all aimed at me. It doesn't need to be, but the only way that I could do it would be if we did it right, preferably right before the one I do up there in October, because I want to leave there and go over to Ohio to the Salt Fork. They have one right after mine. I mean, literally it starts, mine ends on I can't remember why I've got it scheduled this year, but whatever day it ends, like 3 days later, the one at Salt Fork starts.
Okay. One of their
and I wanted to go over there.
Conference.
So basically somewhere right around the end of September, let me, since I'm on my phone, I can go on my computer here and get my calendar up, I think. I can tell you exactly. We don't have too many people in the audience tonight, so I wouldn't mind if some of them wanted to come. I've kept the audience to a very, or the people that are there to a pretty minimal number, because like last year I really wasn't feeling very well, and so we didn't get out and do much. Although I've got places that we can drive right to, so I don't have to worry about walking and stuff. But you know what? I have not put it on my own calendar yet.
Yeah, let me see. Let me bring it up on my phone.
Oh, now I'm crooked. Yeah, it's, I want to say October, maybe 7th or 8th through the 11th or something, but I don't remember for sure.
Yeah, the 9th. Oh, the 8th through the 11th. Yeah, 8th through the 11th.
That's a Thursday to Sunday. And I always get there at least a day or two ahead of time. So I always tell people that let me know they want to come, that if they're, I put it where I put it, because a lot of people can only come for the weekend. But I get there early, and people are welcome to get there early as well if they come
put up
to it.
your email address again, so they can contact you for that information
So
if they're interested.
It's Cryptid Search, and I'm going to assume everybody can spell Cryptid Search, because I don't know if I can off the top of my head. I don't have is there a way I can put it on the screen or not?
Yeah, hold on a second. I'll type it in there.
Okay. So Cryptid Search at myyahoo.com.
Okay. That should pop up. Oh, there. Okay.
We've been having plenty of, and I was really hoping, I can't, hang on, let me get on the computer here and see if it's on there. Cryptid Search at myyahoo.com, correct. And I was really hoping last year that Todd would come, and he didn't make it, so. What in the world happened? Oh, that's a different camera. I've got two cameras going still. It looks crazy to me, but anyway, if you, I haven't seen him in your chat in a while, so if you talk to Todd, please remind him of it as well. I don't know if I should still have his email. I guess I can. Last year, though, he was so busy that he just wasn't responding to hardly anything. So
He's a very busy man. I shared the link for the show on our chat for our research area, and Todd is in that chat. So he would have, he may not have seen my link in time to get in here.
And, you know, I never did, as much as I talked to people, I never did find out for sure where Gary is from. I got the impression maybe down toward the Oklahoma somewhere.
Yes, Gary is from Oklahoma.
Yeah. So I didn't figure he probably doesn't travel that far. But, you know,
He's in a
you
fantastic area.
What's that?
He's in a fantastic area.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, you're, you know, obviously you said you were coming, and I know, and Patty's welcome, and I don't know some of these other folks, but if they're close enough to the Allegheny National Forest, just shoot me an email. And, you know, I typically tell people that when they come, they are welcome to bring a guest. But I really don't want to get more than, you know, I mean, really at the outside, maybe, I hate to even say 20, but, you know, I usually keep it around 10 or 12. But last year I kind of, well, it's not till October, Gary. You can fix your truck by then. Anyway, yeah, I want to get down into Alabama some at some point. Flat Rock keeps telling me I can come down to his place, but he never tells me when. Every time I see him, yeah, I've come down sometime. I'm like, well, let me know. And he never lets me know. So.
Oh. Yeah, anyway. I was hoping to be able to get down probably to Land Between the Lakes, possibly early November, whenever the weather is cooled down enough and that it's more comfortable, and maybe circle down to Alabama.
Yeah.
From there and visit.
Well, if you go down, you'll be going right by my place, so let me know.
Yeah,
if I'm there. So
we'll do.
But I don't have anywhere, and the only place we could go in Smoky Mountain that we could just go sit, and we wouldn't probably get any activity though at the parking lot, would be at a place called Klingman's Dome. There's a lot of sightings up around that area. Mm-hmm. There was a guy about 7 or 8 years ago went hiking over there. He was a very experienced hiker out of Asheville. You can look the story up. I can't remember his name, but it's on the internet. He went hiking at Klingman's Dome. He disappeared. The searchers found his vehicle there just a couple days after he was reported missing, but they never did find him.
Wow.
And here about a year or so ago, some people were out hiking, and they noticed some what looked like red cloth up in a tree. And so they zoomed in with their binoculars, and it was basically they could tell at that point that it was a skeleton with some red like flannel cloth left on it. So they called the authorities, and they come out and took it down. It was, I think they said it was about 30 feet off the ground, wedged into the crotch of a tree. They had found his campsite, but all of his belongings were at his campsite. And anyway, they found him 30 feet up a tree, or his remains, which at that point was just a skeleton. And that was at Klingman Dome. So, and the natives there have a lot of stories about that area being a very active area for the big hairy man.
Yeah, I would think so. Wow. Interesting.
And hang on a second. Bo's sitting here. I'm going to ask him a question. What's the name of that road we went down? The one on the other side of the river where you said that they shut off people from camping? Needmore Road. Yeah, there's been a number of sightings through there that's the Little Tennessee River. Yeah. Been a number of sightings down through that area.
Okay.
We could drive down there at night and hang out, see if we got any scary activity.
Yes.
That's weird. They don't scare me. I'm out there looking for them.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't go looking for trouble, but I also don't, I'm not one that if something happens, I don't go running back to the car with my tail between my legs because I want to see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Plus, I can't run.
But there have been a couple times when they got active enough around me that I didn't get out of my camper to go out and interact.
Yeah.
So,
like up there in that campground when they were
one up there in Allegheny and one in Florida. I had a incident one night. I don't think I've even talked about it, and I won't do it tonight now, but we'll save it for another time. But I had quite a something happen in Florida one night that was enough that it was a little bit scary, just because it was screaming right outside my trailer, and it was no kind of screaming I'd ever heard before. So that's pretty much the whole story. I just didn't go outside looking to see what it was.
Yeah. Oh my. Skidder operator says he had 2 screamers come to his camp on a logging job in 1990. Wow.
Yeah.
Where was that at? Screaming like women on fire.
Yeah.
Wow.
Is he out west or?
I think he is, but let's see. Where are you at, Skidder?
What does like women on fire mean?
Screaming probably like women on fire. Probably sounded like. Okay, Sierra Nevada mountains. Okay.
Sierra Nevada. Okay.
Yeah.
Out in the Sierra Sounds area, probably. Might have been Ron Moorhead just playing a joke on you. He's another guy I haven't met that I'd like to. I've always pretty much kept to myself, honestly, until, gosh, really here the last 4 or 5 years is before I really started interacting a lot with other people and groups and things. I always just did stuff on my own. And so that's why I don't know as many people as it might seem like I ought to. Martin Groves, I was amazed at. I mean, he knew who I was right away. He came up to me, gave me a big hug, told me how wonderful I was and how he looked up to me. And I'm like, wow, I don't know why that is, but anyway,
he's a sweet man.
He might have thought that I was relative. His beard's whiter than mine, but
yep. Wow.
So,
wow. Yeah, there's a lot of good people there, and I'm glad that you were able to go.
Yeah, I was too. I'm glad I got to meet them, and like I said, if I'm able to go back next year, then I'll obviously know a lot more of them when I see them.
Yeah, and go a few days earlier.
Yeah, well, hopefully it'll be at a time where you can go next year.
Yeah.
Because like I said, if you ever want to go to one of those and can't make it just because of money, just tell me. I'll make sure you get there.
Oh, I appreciate it, Mark.
But yeah, Skidder operator, there's another item that not a lot of people know of, and I haven't seen the numbers recently, but as of maybe 4 or 5 years ago, there were about 50,000 people a year that go missing in national parks, just national parks. And ironically, as you may know, if you listen to Dave Paulides, the national parks will tell you they don't keep track of how many people go missing.
Yeah.
Because, and that's that's a bunch of baloney. They know exactly.
Yeah.
But they say they don't keep track of that.
Yeah.
So,
but
they
don't want to put out the information.
Oh yeah. Well, and part of that, they don't want to scare people off, and
right.
People have told me I'm nuts about this, and I'm nuts about a lot of things. But I think that a lot of the reason they don't put it out is tourism, logging. I mean, it would shut down tourism industry and logging industry almost right off the bat.
It would, yeah. instead of thousands, they would get a few hundred.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't cut a tree where there's a spotted owl, you sure
Yeah.
can't cut timber where there's Sasquatch living, especially if they become, once people know that they're actually human DNA,
Mm-hmm.
which, you know, we pretty much know they're at least half human DNA. So they're going to get rights to all that land, ancestral rights. And my goodness, you know, the logging companies don't want it. The government doesn't want it. The Forest Service doesn't want it. And yeah, so there's a, you know, I think there's a lot to all that. So, yeah, he was talking, Patty's talking about the lady in Mount Shasta. If you're not familiar with David Paulides, Missing 411, you ought to start watching. He's got thousands of episodes, I think now. I think he's over 1,000, let's put it that way, episodes of people that have gone missing in national parks, or even not necessarily national parks. Mm-hmm. Some were found and some never were. And Skidder talked about spotted owls being eaten by other owls. Well, I talked to a guy one time that got caught by a game warden, and he had killed a spotted owl. And so the game warden, he was gonna, you know, he was getting in big trouble, but the guy had already cooked it and was eating it. So the game warden writing him the ticket, and he said, you know, I just got to know. He said, I got to ask you. He said, what on earth does that spotted owl taste like? And the guy said, oh, it tastes almost just like bald eagle.
Oh, okay. Oh,
I don't think he helped himself.
I don't think so.
I know all kinds of stuff like that.
Yes.
More rabbit holes. Yes, Skidder. I've eaten some cat, big cat, not house cats, unless it was at the Chinese restaurant. But you're right. Cat meat is not bad eating. It's actually better than anybody would ever believe.
Yeah.
I used to do a lot of hunting and trapping in my younger days, so I've eaten almost everything from. Well, I was telling somebody just the other day that when I was a kid growing up, when I was trapping, my grandmother wanted every raccoon I caught because she cooked them things up and ate them all the time. She loved them. And they're not bad if they haven't been in the trash. If they've been eating baby diapers, they're not so good. But if they've been eating good food, they're as good as anything else. You know, the meat's not bad. A lot of animals kind of taste what they eat. It tastes like what they eat. That's why they feed cattle and hogs and stuff corn, because it makes the meat taste better.
Right.
So.
Just depends. Yeah, Wendell says you need to put a 360 camera on top of your camper.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, right now you would get a view of 3 buildings, and a big grassy field. Because I got 2 metal buildings on either side. I'm parked in between them at my son's, and then in front of the trailer is another metal building, and behind it there's a big grassy field.
We're get out.
Yeah, you can't see we're here from the highway.
Well, whenever we go up to that area,
I might look and see what one of those would cost. I have my Skylink. Matter of fact, you're on Starlink right now. That's what I'm using for this.
Okay.
So I always carry Starlink with me so I could put it on to Starlink.
Yeah, last time I checked, they were $300-400, something like that for one.
They probably come down. I paid $6 when I got mine, and at that time it was $50 a month for 50 megabytes a month, and now I get 100 megabytes a month for $50.
No, I mean for the 360 camera.
Oh, 360 camera.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you meant the Starlink. I'm sorry.
And I don't know if they have night vision on those or not, because you would need it up there, because that's whenever the Bigfoot come around, the juveniles come around and shake everyone's campers. Yeah.
Well, if I had the camera and I had it hooked up to Starlink, it ought to work. I mean, it should have transmission.
Even down in that valley.
So they're talking about all this stuff. I don't know the truth to this. I've been told that it was a lie, but I went to Tecate, Mexico. Some people may have heard of that because of the beer. And we went, my oldest brother owned a campground just maybe 20 miles from Tecate over on the California side. And we went down there one day, and he's telling me it's a wonderful Mexican restaurant. And he said, you got to go down there because it's real Mexican food. It's not what you get in the United States.
Yeah.
We went down there and we had lunch, and I had a burrito. And, I can't remember how it come up. I probably made some comment about it. Tasted different, or maybe I said it was better. I don't know. But the lady that was waiting on us go, oh yeah, we make good burrito. She say, I'm doing a bad Mexican accent, but she said, you know what burrito is? I said, no. She said, little burro. We make it out of burro, and it's a little burro. I always believed she was telling me the truth. I figured I was eating a burro, but I know they eat a lot of horse meat down there. So
yeah.
Almost every country does, honestly, other than the United States. Horse is a big meat in almost every country.
Yep. Yeah.
But, my grandparents were all born in the 1800s, and they ate, if it moved, they ate it. I mean, when I was a kid, at one of my grandparents' house or another, I've had muskrat, beaver, raccoon, possum, woodchuck or groundhog. I mean, they ate everything, and it all tasted different. I'd say of all of it, my least favorite was possum. I'm not a marsupial eater, but you'll have to ask that Yowie Dan when he's back on if he's had any kangaroo, see what he thinks of it, because I think they eat kangaroo over there.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
But I wasn't a marsupial fan.
Yeah.
But I can't read what Skidder wrote. Something Grand Gato SBN.
Yeah, big gato. I think that's cat is good.
Good. Oh, okay.
Big cat is good.
Big cat is good. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
And horse is greeny.
Yeah, it can be. Depends on how old it is. Most people that have eaten horse, it's been old horse.
Okay. The Shishel says kangaroo meat is like deer meat.
Well, let's see, deer meat to me isn't grainy if it's good deer meat. Of course, I grew up eating deer meat out of central Illinois where they eat corn all their life, so they're like eating beef or something almost.
Yeah.
Amazingly, for not having corn, one of the very, very, very best meats, and I kid you not, the first time I was fed it, I thought the guy was pulling my leg. I thought he had given me some kind of top end steak, like filet mignon or something, and it was moose. I could not believe how good moose was in Alaska. Now, I can't say how moose is everywhere else, but it was so tender, you could literally cut it with a fork, and it just had a wonderful flavor to it.
Wow.
So, Skidder's talking about smoked salmon. I lived in Alaska for about 20 years, and so I've eaten plenty of that, made a lot of my own. So.
Sounds good. I love smoked salmon. Well, tell you what, I think we're going to close this down, and we'll get you on again in a few months, maybe after the October meet and greet camp out.
I've told you, if you're interested, I'm always happy to co-host or fill in if you'd trust me on a night you can't do it if something happens. I mean, I'll help you out any way I can.
I appreciate it.
Maybe it'll help me learn how to do it.
Yeah. I tell you, it was a big learning curve for me.
Well, I don't know if I have much big learning left in me. So
there's a lot in here that I don't use because I'm afraid of screwing up what I've already set up. So
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. All right,
All right.
Mary. Well, thank you so much for having me, and it's great to see everybody in the audience, and great to talk to you.
Yeah, great talking with you. And I hear Bo in the background. So hi, Bo.
Hey.
Yeah, he'd been outside. He came in. I guess it got dark on him out there, and he's afraid of the dark. You know, he got his first little Bigfoot encounter up there at Allegheny last year, and he's been afraid of the dark ever since.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that.
He's full of shit.
No, I'm not
Okay.
full of any of that.
Oh,
I
there's
might be
Chad.
exaggerating a little.
Hi, Chad. How you doing?
Oh, hey, is this the Blackie that I met that goes by Blackie at LBL?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah, because he and his
Yeah,
wife
yeah.
were there.
Okay. All right. All righty. Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank
Good
you.
to see everybody. And sorry, Chad got in, or Blackie got in right at the end there, but he can go back and watch it over.
Yeah. Yep. He can scroll back to the beginning.
I can make up more stories for next time. No, I didn't make up anything other than maybe the thing about the spotted owl and the eagle.
Oh my, that was so bad. Well, again, thank you for coming on, Mark, and I'll chat with you a little bit in Messenger.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, let me know.
All right.
So, all righty.
Take care.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Okay, guys. Yeah, thank you for coming on and joining us. And I hope everyone else had a great time at Land Between the Lakes. Those of you who attended, sorry I missed it. Yeah, there were a few different reasons why I couldn't make it. I would have loved to. Believe me, I would have loved to. But like I said before, I'm going to try my doggonest to make it there possibly early November. I've got a lot going on in October. So probably the best time for me would be to come in early November, whenever the weather's cooled down some. And oh, okay, you didn't get a notification, Blackie. Aw. Yeah. Sorry about that, but hey, we're here. Yeah, in early November, I will try, and if I do, guys, I will let you know, and I'll even let you know what campground that I'll be at. And if anyone's in the area, yeah, come on in and join. I love going there. I love Land Between the Lakes. Love it. There's always, every time I go there, see, I camp in a different area than where the big camp out is. I camp out in a different area. And I always get activity. There's always activity there, always. And that's why I love it. Plus, I have a pretty view, of the lake there. But yeah, I'll let you guys know. And hopefully you were on my group in Facebook, because I don't know if I will put it blasted here in public where every troll and everyone else can see it and come in on where they're not welcome. I don't welcome trolls to where I'm camping at, especially privately or solo, especially. But if you're in my group, Okay, Gary. Yeah, if it's in Woodwalkers, Gary. Yeah, I've seen a few of the photos that you guys took at Woodwalkers, but again, if you're in my group, and I'll even announce it in Woodwalkers, when I'm going. So if anyone wants to join me, come on, you're welcome. Just don't be a troll. Troll's like, Jeff he's a sweetie. He's not a troll. He may be a dwarf, but he's not a troll. Oh, thank you, Gary. I appreciate it. Okay, guys. If anyone has a prayer request, please, you can mention it here. Just type out private prayer request. You don't have to go into detail. I've got my list right here next to me, next to my Bible. I keep my Bible right here, and my prayer request list. And believe me, every single one, on that list, they're in my prayers. And you can message me privately. Yeah, Jeff is great. Oh, oh my. Yeah, he's either eating or he's sleeping. This late at night, he's eating his stew probably, and nodding off, as he's eating. Okay, all right, Mark. I will keep Bo in my prayers. Absolutely. In fact, I will write that down. I will put that in my list. Alrighty. Right there. Bear stew. Okay, guys. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you, Mark, for coming on and sharing your adventures and your impressions of the meet and greet at Lane Between the Lakes. I'm just sorry you weren't able to really explore it a little bit more. And maybe next year, because I spoke with Misty about what I do, whenever I do a camp out. And so hopefully, maybe the rules and regulations won't be quite so restrictive. Yeah. Go on Woodwalkers on Facebook, the shizzle. They're the ones that hosted it, and so on. So, okay, I'm going to be doing one of those Southern goodbyes, which lasts half an hour. All right, love y'all. God bless. See you next week, and I'm going to get in touch with Greg House. I'm going to see if I can try to get him on. If not, I will put the link out here and offer it to whoever. Oh, Pyro. Hey, Pyro. Okay, you ran all over. Aw. Yeah, Pyro, tell you what, if you're available next Wednesday, I'd like for you to come on and talk about your adventures if you like. You're welcome to. And see, I think you're on Facebook. If not, yeah, send me a message. Send me a message. You can send it through. There's a message center on here. If you like to, that's up to you, Paro. Love to have you on. Oh, okay. Get Greg too also. Okay. Yes. All right. I will grab Greg. Oh my. It really will be a blast. Holy moly. Okay, I appreciate it. Okay, guys. Good night. God bless. Paro, I'll get in touch with you. All right. Love y'all. God bless. Monkey Wench out.